So parallelism is one of the most common things that come out on the SATs and ACTs, and I think it's just good to know what it is. And it's some of the more basic stuff, but it's best probably to learn through examples. But before I go into that, I'll show you some example sentences, right, before we get to the questions. But think about what parallel means. Parallel, I mean, look, there's two L's there, right? And that's parallel. So it just means it has to match, right? One thing has to match with another thing. So, I have a sentence like I like sandwiches, um, sandwiches, pizzas, and to eat, right? Obviously, Microsoft Word sucks. That's why it's not going to underline what's wrong, right? But what is wrong over here? What doesn't seem like it is? What doesn't seem parallel over here? It doesn't seem like it matches, right? And what does match is this part over here, and to eat. All of a sudden, you have these nouns, right? Sandwiches, pizza, and to eat, right? The only way, and all these things are things, and this is infinitive to eat, right? It doesn't match. Only way you could really fix this is what? Probably eating, right? And it's eating because why? Eating is a gerund, and you shouldn't learn what a gerund is. Gerunds are basically verbs acting as nouns, right? Yes, this grammatically is parallel. Grammatically is parallel, but it's probably best to put another noun over here. Not a gerund noun, but another noun in the sense that pizza and what can you put? Apples, right? That'd be most parallel. But let's try something a little bit more difficult. You can have a sentence like Mike, right? Mike is hoping for a career in medicine, sports, or to become a baseball. So let's try another one, right? We can do like Mike is hoping for a career in football, law, or to become a doctor, right? So again, Microsoft Word is not going to pick it up, right? Obviously, they don't check for styles or these kind of errors, right? Parallelisms. But how can you fix this? Or where do you see the error, right? You see that Mike is hoping for a career in football, right? Law, or to become a doctor. Again, it's this infinitive phrase over here, right? So what can you say? To become a career in, you have to talk about a field, right? And you could say football field, law field, or what field? A doctor would probably be what? In the field of medicine, right? So you could say medicine. Uh, right? That would be correct. Mike is hoping for a career in football, law, or medicine. That would be parallel. All right, let's look at one last one. I just want to emphasize that, it doesn't have to have three different things. You could have two different things, right? As long as, parallel, there's two things that has to match with one another, right? So you could say like a coach or a good coach, let's say, right? Good coach needs patience and to be objective, right? And objective means not biased, right? What's wrong with this again, right? There's only two things this time, right? But a good coach needs a noun, right? This is a noun over here, and all of a sudden it's an infinitive phrase, right? So how can you fix this? A good coach needs patience, and you need another noun, so it should be what? Objectivity, right? Objectivity. So that's how you fix this. They'll underline certain parts of the sentence, and depending on what they underline, the back, back part over here, or the front part, right? You can fix it, right? But just check, does this sentence make sense? So let's look at an example right now. So let's look at this one. It says, new student documentary describes how noxious heavy metals, noxious means poisonous, NOx means poison, or night, metals such as cadmium accumulate in plants and animals, right? So these bad heavy metals, and these are the things that give you cancer, right? Accumulate in plants and animals, enter rivers and lakes and threatening the water supply. So obviously you can know that, there's something wrong because this is a parallelism question that we've been discussing, right? So, does this match? You have to think about where the sentences really start and end, right? So new student document describes. Okay, you could theoretically end the sentence here, right? Describes. Okay, what does describe? It describes how, and from here on is prepositional phrases, right? How this happens, right? So why does A not work? Enter rivers and lakes. Well, enter is okay because it's heavy metals, right? And it's plural, right? And threatening the water supply. Now, does that match? Noxious describes how, such as can accumulate. That's one of the verbs in the phrases, right? Enter is another verb, and ing. It doesn't match. That's not parallel, and neither does this really. What about B? How they enter rivers and lakes and how they threaten the water supply. So this kind of sounds like the answer, but does it have to do with how? Well, probably because it's how here and how there, right? It's all hows, and they enter, just like accumulate, and they threaten, right? So all the verbs matches, and they all start with how. So yeah, B must be the answer, right? But let's check out the rest. What about C? They enter rivers and lakes and threaten the water supply. There's something really wrong with this because why? This is another sentence in itself, so it would be a comma splice or a run-on, so it can't be C, right? What about D? They are entering rivers and lakes and threatening the water supply. Okay, and the same problem as this one, right? They are entering. That's another sentence, but we already have a sentence to begin with over here, right? So we can't have that, and it's not parallel. What about E? Enter rivers and lakes and how the water supply is threatened. So obviously, this one is how, and this one is enter, just like answer, what was it? Was it A? A was that way? So we can't have E either. So the correct answer is B, and you really have to just go through all of them and eliminate the things that are not parallel, right? So it may not have been immediate at first because it starts with how, and maybe they just wanted 3 verbs after how, but it wasn't the case at all, right? Alright, this one says Al Chiron Il, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. An ancient martial art combines intense concentration with precise, graceful movements that improve willpower, being agile, and hand-eye coordination. So I'm sure you already heard something wrong, but remember, just because it sounds wrong, that's a terrible way to approach questions. You'll only improve up to a certain amount, right? So let's get rid of stuff that we don't need, right? So this ancient martial art, this is, it's in a positive. You can get rid of it. And if you don't know what a positive art, look it up in my other videos, right? So the subject is singular and it combines, so that's okay. Nothing wrong with combines, right? Intense concentration, and that's a noun. It combines concentration, so maybe get rid of intense. It combines concentration with precise, graceful movements. Right? So again, that's noun and it's plural, right? Movements that improve willpower, right? Power is a noun. Being agile, no, that improve what? Willpower, agility, and coordination. Those are all the parallel nouns that you need, because power is a noun, coordination noun, and you also need what? Agility. So what's wrong with the sentence? Answer is D, right? You need to put in the noun form, right? It needs to be agility, right? Combines is correct. Verb is concentration. All it is just modifying. Intense concentration means what kind of concentration. Nothing's wrong with that. Improve. Why? All these things, or this martial art, improve that, and there is an error, so answer is D.